Hey everyone, Matt from Soundrolling.com. Thank you for joining me for this live kind of Q&A. Yes, very ironic, Jack Pass. Having issues with like plugging various things in. I have like a different setup for recording videos where I've been doing screencasts. So I've had to make things like little MIDI devices where I can record both the computer audio and the audio from a separate microphone. So the irony is not lost. But the whole point of this is you can ask me stuff about location sound, about what I do in post, about anything. The whole point is just to provide more content about what I'm doing, and so hopefully you guys can also share what you do, and we can solve problems, maybe even fight crime. You never know. Anything is possible. So I just want to get into the habit again of making content every day. So I've had a good run so far, about five days in a row now, I think this is. So back at it, video like 360 or something like that. So we're well over a year of content, which is nice. So the best thing you can do is get in the live chat and ask me some questions, either about career, literally anything from like how to finances, how to cash flow, how negotiation tips. Like we can cover whatever you guys want. This is all for you. There's still some videos that I need to make. So Sound Speeds, thanks for joining. When am I coming to America? That is a very good question. I'm getting close. Hopefully there's a feature in January, which is actually in the Caribbean. So that's the closest that I'm going to be so far. But yes, it definitely needs to happen. I'm probably going to have to come to like NAB. Is it NAB? Yeah. Sometime or some big event, maybe New York in the winter or something. I've got to try and make something happen. Doing a million things as always. Ruad, if that's how I say your name, hopefully. What are your experiences using radio microphones abroad, i.e. radio licenses? That is a very good point. Generally, when I've been abroad, I've stayed within whatever the legal limit is for that kind of specific country. So the Soundrolling app should give a list. There's lists out there of what is kind of legal to use. In terms of getting specific licenses for those countries, I've never shot outside for such an extended period of time in, say, like a main city where it would be a problem. Any venue that I've gone to, it's always kind of just been asked to, I'm just trying to stay out of the way of everyone else. But I think if you're there for a longer period of time, for instance, like going over to America for, then it's definitely something I would look into. The problem that I found with it, to be honest, is even firstly finding out the legal frequencies for some countries, even though they're written down, then finding the right body, and then even just the time you fill all the paperwork and stuff. But definitely, if it was something like an organized event, you know that there's going to be lots of other people, such as NAB, for instance, then you definitely want to make sure that you're kind of licensed and you're there to there to kind of fit in with everyone else and make everything work. Again, the licensing thing, it should be really easy because it's kind of like a vote of us using frequencies, and we've seen a lot in especially America and even in the UK for the last couple of years that obviously they've kind of selling off parts of wireless for essentially Wi-Fi 3G, so I can host my YouTube chats, and so if people aren't licensed, then they have no record that people are actually using it. So yeah, I hope they do make the process a bit easier. I've never personally shot in America that much, to be honest. So, but that's definitely a part of the world where it's good. Is the rest of the world taking UHF frequencies away like the US? Well, that is the question, Greg. It's just whether they need more space for Wi-Fi and 3G, and essentially to make money. They make money out of these things every time they kind of exchange hands. And what is only going to be more prevalent is the demand for data, internet connection, that kind of thing. So it's all about making sure that there's enough space. Definitely when you kind of compare the US to the UK. The UK is like a drop in the ocean, even still after all the changes in the US, because they have so much kind of spare space. But it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. I think the main thing for us as practitioners is just making sure that we do kind of vote for whatever frequency we have left, and we use it. We're licensed, and that in turn should only help with securing it for the future as video and our services as sound professionals become even more important. So hopefully that answers that kind of generic question. Jack Pass, if you asked to attach the radio mic to a camera like a C300 Mark II, but it has to be solid as it's going to be climbing up a mountain, what kind of thing would you use? You can get, firstly, it all depends on the type of radio mic. G3s, for instance, have those clamps with the adapter with the horseshoe. So if you could get the camera people to give like a spare, whatever the like attachment name for it is called, with the horseshoe on the end, then that would be the best way, because then it would literally be screwed into the camera. So that's what I would do. Otherwise, you can of course use anything to tie it on. If it's going up, if they have like a handheld rig going up, I mean, it all depends on how it's going up the mountain as well. But you can always either like use a radio mic pack if you wanted to, and kind of just strap it in either around the base plate if there's a bit of gap there, or at the top on the handle. There's various places to do it, but it's all about kind of, just making sure that you can strap things down. But the best way is probably going to be the horseshoe. But again, depends on what kind of radio mic system you have. Even if you possibly attach it to the actual camera op as well, if the camera op's going up as well. So yeah, hopefully that should kind of keep it safe. And what do I use to secure them? What tricks do you have, or kit? So yeah, just what I said before. Otherwise, like worst comes to worst, gaffer tape is kind of tried and true. So Christian, how about your experience with Ursa Strat products? Ursa Strat products are great. I've used them a lot. I need to buy a lot more of them, to be honest. I still don't have as many as I should have. Definitely the thigh strap, game changer for actually staying up because of the plastic on the inside. Done plenty of videos on that, so you can always just YouTube Soundrolling Ursa straps, and I'm sure loads will come up. Even did a cool 1-hour hangout with Simon from Ursa Straps, and we talk about all about hiding labs as well. Greco, what expendables and accessories you reckon are essential for your rig? I'd love to know what soundies out there are taking on the job. From Brazil. Yeah, what is essential? So expendables and accessories. So I guess expendables are things like tape. So gaffer tape is obviously really useful. I still use Recordist stickies a lot. Sometimes have what's called Joe's sticky stuff. I will write that in the chat. And hopefully it'll come up. Though it's not even letting me type. Stupid thing. So many technical problems. Anyway, Joe's sticky stuff, Joes, and then sticky stuff. It's kind of like a kind of flexible gel, really useful for cutting down cable noise because it's kind of rubbery quality. So yeah. And otherwise, accessories, what do I have? Recently reviewed the K-Tech Womback. That was quite good for kind of just clipping on, general purpose. Otherwise, accessories are like bags. So the Orca, I think it's the OR67, or maybe that's the harness. I will, I'll try and do it. I guess cover quite a few ranges of things, but I don't think there's anything particularly special I have. Trying to get in touch with more people just to get a hold of some more accessories in general, and just trying to find and source some decent boxes for keeping all my little accessories. So I obviously have wind covers, and all of that kind of thing. So hopefully, unfortunately, that was kind of a very vague answer, but there's so many things that are kind of essential. But I guess the most essential expendables are batteries, Rycott stickies, gaffer tape is never going to go out of fashion, and any kind of mount, although they're not technically expendable unless unless they get lost on production, which happens quite a bit. And at £10 a time, it's a bit annoying. So hopefully that kind of roughly answers it, just for the. And otherwise, just make sure you have waterproof accessories for when it's raining. The Funky Beats 79, good name. Have you ever done something to prepare yourself to work on a recorder or mixer you've never worked on before? So someone hands you and you've never used it first day of the shoot. Well, anything to prepare? Read the manual. Look online on YouTube. There should be like loads of things of how to use stuff. But all mixers are essentially doing the same job. Like a mixer and a recorder, the kind of functionality of them is not going to be wildly different. There's just things in different places. So obviously find the record button, find the gain, find how to turn it up and down, and then you can kind of worry about all the kind of metadata, all the extra stuff kind of when you're getting set up. But as long as you can get a signal into it, and you're making sure that it has the capabilities that you need, because it's very different if you're going from, say, a Kantar to a Zoom H1. So it's as long as you have the functionality, then they're all doing exactly the same thing. That's the great thing about our job. So okay, Ariani, hopefully I said that right. If I could talk about Beck 2 rates for recordist and assistant, how much should everyone charge since pretend so it's cut, and also how to write contracts and how you deal with production taking forever to pay you, and also do big production function in the same way, or are they quite as good as paying people? Okay, so I'll answer this kind of very generically. So firstly, Beck 2, for those of you who don't know, around the world is kind of our union representative. And so they do kind of all the big talks with getting all the massive feature film rates in place. So making this applicable to the world, wherever you are, hopefully there's some form of union or organization that is giving you kind of rates in terms of details of stuff. I can't rattle them off the top of my head, but I think for a sound recordist, again, depending on what they're doing, it's around 325 a day. And then equipment on top of that. Assistants, not sure. Boom ops, again, have to look off the top of my head. Generally, I'm sound recordist as well, and it splits even more. Like when you're a production mixer and you have a boom op, then it's different from if you're just a sound recordist, and it's different if you're doing a feature film. So to make that applicable to everyone, just make sure that you're also testing your local market and just seeing what everyone else is roughly charging as well. Because at the end of the day, that's going to be a good gauge of not necessarily a realistic reflection of what people are doing, but a good kind of ballpark figure. Generally, also just try the thing I've been trying to do recently is over the past couple of years is just get used to kind of putting up my rates and just how much and like percentage factors and stuff, just to kind of maintain with like inflation and just daily life. Which is getting more expensive, especially with stupid events like Brexit and all that kind of stuff. But diverting away from the political, how to write contracts. I have never actually written a contract, but in terms of just reading them, just make sure that they're not screwing you over too much. And how do I deal with productions that take forever to pay? I take them to a thing called small claims court. I've had to do this about 3 times now. Which is quite annoying, but generally they do pay before I actually have to go to court, which is nice. You pay a proportion, but they also have to pay the costs back of anything you do for the small claims court, so just look up that. And yeah, that's the best way to do it. Otherwise, all you have to do is, it depends how extreme you're being. Again, if it's like a 30-day invoice and a day 31, you're trying to bang down the door, maybe it's something instead you should do is maybe on day 25 remind, all that kind of stuff. More preparation than just kind of crying wolf. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good analogy that it didn't really work. It's still quite late, guys. I had a whole day filming as well. So if my brain starts to, if you see smoke coming out my ears or anything, just let me know. The Funky Beat, love your channel. Thank you very much. Worked with some guys from the BBC who flew into Texas and asked them if they knew you. Tried to do it alone. The app looked like the Android version wasn't out yet. Yes, the Android version is back out now. In terms of the Soundrolling app, you can go to soundrolling.com/soundrolling-app and download it. The thing I need at the moment is the Apple licensing thing. I got my license back up and renewed it. But unfortunately, Apple just have this absolutely painful policy of generating like special user keys, and I have to. If you own a Mac yourself, if you go to this thing called Keychain Access, then you have to like generate reports and get it authorized from an external server, and then that has to match with the provisioning profile. And it's, yeah, to be honest, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and that's what I'm going to figure out on my day tomorrow. So hopefully it should also be back up in iOS soon and should work better as well. You don't need to like sign up with an account or anything. There's been loads of changes, and it's actually been pretty much a year until the day now that I first came up with the idea. So it's interesting just to see how much that's kind of progressed. Jack Pass, what's your thoughts on the way the industry is going? Dun dun dun. With crews becoming self-shooting, so you've seen runners being boom up, obviously more TV over features. I think, so where it's going, it's kind of a very broad question. I think, firstly, it's on the rise. I think there is no getting away from video per se and content, for lack of a better word. And so we obviously play our role in that. There's now also the consideration of different types of content, which lend itself more to like producer directors or shooting APs, such as just tiny bits of content that are from companies that are like got full-time employees and that kind of stuff. In terms of seeing a runner boom op, runner/boom op, as in they're booming. I hope that they wouldn't be the main boom op, and if anything, again, it's kind of a good and bad. It's kind of like a teething process, because we have to basically go through this transition of, okay, now there's kind of a gold rush on content, as it were. So literally everyone's running out, and everyone's just doing whatever, getting any tiny bit of value out there. But as time goes on, just as we see with the gold industry today, let's say, the process has to be refined. It becomes not necessarily more expensive, but just the level of production value has to be higher for people to interact with that content. And so almost naturally, we should see overall, as a general trend, at least productions getting more complex. Again, I'm not going to promise that the quality or the content is actually going to get better, but yeah. But in the long term, because the amount of work is opening up, people are filling the gap, and this is the perfect time to fill the gap. Like when any new kind of technology frontier comes on, especially with, again, the technology of the gear coming down in price. Again, the barrier to entry is lower, and so more people are naturally going to do it. Then it's going to go through this process of then rising up in terms of just that quality again. And so, yeah, it's hopefully just going to get more complex, and that's going to mean that our jobs are still even more relevant than they ever have been before, because the tasks are so much more complex. So Ash T, just downloaded the Soundrolling app now. Thank you for letting me know. Hopefully it works. Again, the process of actually building an app is very easy. The debugging is an absolute kick in the face repeatedly. So it's very annoying. Greg Palmer, have you modified your Sennheiser G3 receivers for external antenna? I haven't yet. It is something that would be very interesting to do, because even with having a super slot, I can potentially I wonder if it would work with super slot, actually. But no, the short answer is I haven't. But yeah, it's definitely something that's I will be thinking of in the future if I don't try and splash a load of cash on some more Electros or maybe Whizzies, or I don't quite know what direction to go next. So that is that. So if you're having a fun time, you can always click like on this video. Just throwing that out there while we wait for any more questions. I said that I'd be a half an hour, but I did have 10 minutes of technical difficulties. So we can go on a little bit longer. Otherwise, I can kind of close this, and what I'll do is leave this as a full video, but then also maybe do videos afterwards, kind of giving even more context around it, because it's obviously useful as individual pieces of content. So Greg, with your CMIT, do you record the digital signal analog? So I have the Super CMIT, so it's all digital, I think. I haven't actually tried it with I think it's all digital. So difference in quality, I don't think so. It would be marginal, I think, at best, because sorry, getting distracted reading. But yeah, it would definitely be something to test out. I'm trying to get my hands on the mini CMIT actually at the moment to test that out. So I'm going to be comparing the both, but I think ones and zeros compared to voltage, probably not that much different with that kind of caliber of mic. So yeah, just on the fact of digital or analog, no real difference. The funky beats. How often do clients ask you for a sound report? I use 788, generates its own, but I'm hardly ever asked for one. To be honest, more and more I'm getting in the habit of just automatically doing it now. Quite a lot of my work I also do the post-production on, and so I don't necessarily do it, but now I'm getting in the habit of just every day, it takes literally like 1 second to generate it. I generate it, just put it in, and so if people never need to ask me later on. Some people already have the like wave agent on their computer. I know some editors that have that, and so they just generate it themselves. So yeah, entering sound report info with the rotary dial simultaneous generate sound report wave agent at the end. I don't type up that many notes. That's what I'm really bad at. Like I'll tell you what's on what channel. But in terms of just, I have presets on my 688, and I can just put in generic stuff. And depending on the type of projects, I'm assuming they can kind of figure it out. Like if there's a plane, they're obviously going to hear the plane. Feature films and that kind of thing, I need to start making more notes, and that's just bad habit from my end, I'm afraid. So hoping to get better on that. What do you think about the F8 compared to the sound devices? I think it's very much a kind of Mac versus PC question. I don't know. It depends what you need. Again, I love my sound devices, always had sound devices so far. And it's just whatever works. That's the thing. There's definitely pros and cons to each. I think if I was starting out again, I would definitely aim for the zoom range, like the F4, or even try and jump straight to the FA. Just for timecode capability and just getting the foot in the door in terms of just having what is becoming more and more kind of a necessity for us to have, in terms of just being able to offer a proper service. It's not just turning up with an H4 anymore. And I'm glad that people have moved on, and Zoom have also brought out the F4 and the F8 to kind of make sure that happens, because it still takes a good mixer. It doesn't matter about the type of mixer. If you're a good mixer, you've got good mic placement. Even if you don't have necessarily the best microphone, it's kind of that technology kind of aspect comes into play. So I think you're fine. I think there's definitely a lot of fanboys. I'm sure the camera guys have the exact same thing. Like when Red came out, I think and everyone was like, oh yeah, Arri is so much better, all this kind of stuff. And some people are, and some people are going to be loyal to Zoom until they die, and some people are going to be any of the other companies that are all doing great things. But I think more people that are in the mix for the kind of technology that is useful for our industry, the better. It comes down in price. We get more innovation, and hopefully more cool stuff. Ash T, have you had hands-on experience with the Mix Pre-series? I sadly haven't yet. I really need to. If you go to Sound Speed's channel, he definitely has a Mix Pre, and I think he should do a tutorial video on it. I'm just setting it up. Otherwise, Curtis has one. Curtis, and then Judd, Judd. He's done great intro videos on it. There's loads on the forums for that. For me personally, I think it's more aimed at, it's like really good for the podcasting. It's really good for the sound recording. It's a nice, super small format. Just make sure it's kind of fit for your purposes. So, Greg Palmer, full post-production, what do you charge relative to your normal location rate? That is a very good question. I don't even know if I can put that into context. I try and put a day rate on things. Quite a lot of the time with projects, I'm like always, because I'm mainly location sound, then obviously that's the kind of main bulk of my work. And then if I try and then take things onto post-production from that, and it just so happens that because I'm doing the location sound and I do the post-production sound, I end up saving time and all of that kind of thing. But that kind of helps me shore up my location sound rates and gives me a fairly decent production sound rate. So corporate videos, like online 2-minute things, if it's one day, I'll still charge roughly the same day rate as I do when I'm on location. So like £300, for instance, if it's just a full day's work. Then we get into the issue of making changes. And again, that's kind of, there's no real kind of hard set rules, unfortunately. So yeah. Yeah, hopefully that kind of helps. But in terms of your time is money, and maybe post-production for me is actually physically easier because I'm at home. There's kind of other things I can do. I can manage my time better. Whereas being physically on location, that's definitely more stringent because I'm like physically leaving the house. I have to be on set. I'm doing I can't do anything else but kind of be on location. So ability, but again, it's all however much they think the thing is worth, then they're going to pay you proportional to how much they think your part in it will be. So I hope that kind of helps. KJ Beanek, you're a fan in Korea. I don't even want to guess about how to say hi in Korean. So if you could type that in the comments, then I will say that, because it's good to learn other languages. Christian, thanks for your help. Cheers from Chile. I really need to get over to Chile. It's amazing. And yeah, I need to start meeting up with more people around the world. Although this interface is pretty good through YouTube Hangouts. So we're into the last 5 minutes. Again, because of technical issues, I was 10 minutes late, so I gave an extra 10 minutes. So you've got another 5 minutes to get as many questions as you would like in. Mark, hi, can you comment on lavalier mic placement techniques? I can by telling you to look up a 1-hour chat I did with Simon from Ursa Straps. We did a live thing and we literally went through everything from mic placement to where to hide the pack. It's like a 1-hour live stream. I think we had a few little problems in the middle, as always. But yeah, so if I will try and hopefully find the... let me look for you right now, because it's one of these things where... If my internet doesn't crash for me, like searching anything else. Doing. Where's it? I don't even have recent uploads. I need to like sort out my channel. Oh, there we go. This is the problem when you do like hundreds of videos on things. Sound thing, being this, that, the other thing. Essential radio mic tips replay. Ooh, 2,000 views. Okay, here we go. So that is the link for radio mic techniques. A wonderful hour and a bit of your time, I think it is, and hopefully you should learn a lot from it. Hey, from Argentina. I know lots of people have downloaded the app in Argentina, I think. Oh, let's scroll back up. Everyone's getting their questions in. What are your favorite headphones to use for sound work? I've always used the HD. I used the HD25s originally and moved to the HD26s from Sennheiser. Really love them. They're now more comfortable with the HD26. Also did a video on the comparison because I actually got them for a feature film, and so was pretty intensively made the switch and then used them every day for like a month. So that was good. And that was for Saphir 3000. So yeah, so it's not that they're my favorite just because I've always had them. I think for me it was important that I kind of get used to the same type of headphones. And so I listen to them for music, for anything, for like traveling to work, getting used to their kind of response, and then how that translates later on is more important to me. Although maybe if I kind of go more into production sound mixer only, rather than sound recordist, also occasionally booming, then I get some more studio headphones that are probably even comfier. So yeah, but you can't really go wrong. Neil, hey, love your sound chats. Anyone interested in coming up? Scott Beatty, I will be doing an interview with later this week, I think. The problem with the sound chats is both my own schedule and fitting that with everyone else's. I try and do the best I can and go through waves of getting 700 people on. And then it's just kind of a thing of it drops off because then I'm doing the app, or I'm doing the work, or redoing my website, or trying to do more blog posts, or doing a billion other things. So yeah, there's no one really planned. These sound chats are literally like never planned. It's more like, yeah, turn up and we'll just have a chat. But if you want to be on, Neil, feel free to shoot me an email, matt@soundrolling.com. And then we can just hang out like this, but you can be on the other side actually talking. So it isn't just my voice all the time. So, Ariane, again, a lot of people say you must choose either doing location sound or post, and that you shouldn't do both. Do a lot of people. I want to know where a lot of these people are, because I have a feeling that only... since you do both, what do you think about that? Do you feel quite divided between both? Not really. They're both kind of part of the same process. That's why I like combining them, to be honest. I think they should be combined more. I think having all of the context of being on location and what creative decisions are made, not to mention just the technical ones if there's any problems, then help you. Because that's super easy doing post-production. Like interviews. If I was doing an interview like this and this was actually being like properly recorded, and I had my boom and I was like here, obviously not with a Rode podcaster, then taking it into post, I already know where the placement was. I already know where I recorded my room tone. I already know what I label my tracks as. So it's a dream. What I don't like about post-production is fixing other people's problems. I don't mind fixing my own. So that was kind of always my ethos on doing both location sound and post sound. So hopefully that answers that. Obviously, there's just more training involved in terms of getting used to the plugins, getting your head around actually doing it. And I find that it also shakes up the routine a little bit. So not always, even though on set is brilliant, if I was always doing post-production, I wouldn't like it as much as always doing location sound, because location is always much more fun in my eyes. Jack Pass, are you able to do a video on the cables you use with your mixer? Yeah, and what they're used for, where you connect to the camera, or anything else you use, like locket boxes, tentacles, and such. Yeah, I've done various videos on this channel. I don't know if you're new to this, because I did just post this in a few random groups as well. Yeah, I've done things on the. I've got the tentacles. I'm still playing around with the ambient locket boxes at the moment. In terms of cables in general, I have what's called tails, which are just a kind of XLR array where I can plug like either a 10-pin Hiroshi connection into my mixer and then plug into camera. There's a few videos I've done in terms of just getting sound into the C300, for instance. You can look at that to kind of see cables for outputs. As for inputs, it's just the SL6. So that takes care of most of my wireless, and otherwise XLR cables, to be honest. That's about it. And otherwise 5-pin LEMO for timecode. Funky beat. I think lav placement and rate negotiation are the hardest part of the job, personally. That is true. Mark Dixon, best. Keep it up. Thank you very much, sir. Hey from sunny Cyprus. DPA lav 71 versus 61. I think it's all about the purposes of what you use it for. I only have 71s, and then I also have COS 11s. Probably going to switch actually to the DPA minis, maybe, because they look pretty tasty. So that's good. Wait, I have more on this, definitely. So the 61 is good because you don't have that bass boost. The 71 is better for hiding, but if you were to purposely like clip it on the outside, say for a time mic interview, the 71 wouldn't sound as good because of that high boost. If it's not next to the body, it's not kind of compensating for that, and so you're going to get a very weak voice, especially probably if it's female, because that's already higher. No, male, because that's already lower. Lower register. And does the Nano Locket support camera metadata? I don't think it does, but that's a very good question. I'm trying to think of the other suite of products they have in terms of they definitely have like master lockets and other things that will take the camera data. And I believe with some of the cameras, they partnered with Zeiss recently, so you can actually get metadata out of the lenses. But actually, maybe I'll do an interview with Ambient and just get their whole kind of ethos of the ACN network that they have. So hopefully that should work. Greg Palmer, do you only give timecode when asked or always provide it? Yeah, when they hire it, I say that I offer it, and yeah, if they want to pay for it, I am glad to give it to them. So yeah, but generally I would always advise it as well, because it's usually easier for syncing, and sometimes they like to cut early. Okay, everyone, I think this concludes this one, because these things do literally go on forever, and then no one really watches the videos afterwards. It's just for my references for them making videos further down the line. So if you're following this channel already, very well done. And of course, you can subscribe. A couple of the themes of the questions that we've had today, I will do again in video format. So you'll see those in the coming days, along with a lot of new stuff. Going to do some cool binaural things tomorrow, and actually try and make like a mini short film, and also kind of showcase a mic someone gave me to demo. I thought binaural was kind of really interesting. So yeah. Can I end with a snazzy dance? Not really. Yay! That's snazzy kind of sitting dance. What else? I can end with like a magic trick. I can tie it to my glasses. It's mad. So there you go. That's it's magic. Loads of magic. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. If you haven't already, check out the new soundrolling.com blog. Kind of linking it all up. Unfortunately, it was absolute chaos of a mess of trying to relink like 450 blog articles. So still going through that, so some links may not work. If you haven't already, download the Soundrolling app and tell me what is missing for you, and I will get that going. I will have another one of these spontaneous chats probably next week. I'll try and do maybe once a week. Could be anytime, anywhere. So yeah, keep up to date with that. And thanks for joining me. Hopefully I'll eventually get around to writing everything we talked about in the description below with time signatures and everything. But until then, love you, leave you, and I will see you tomorrow.